And good morning, dear friends. And Jane with her hat too. It's fantastic. And Doug, you've made an effort, brother. I'm thrilled, brother. Thank you. Gay, you just got the fantastic hair. Nothing can cover your hair. We understand that. Lovely to see. Oh, and beautiful Catherine, we've got multiple personalities for you at the moment. My goodness me. We've got two, but then what's better than one Catherine? Two Catherines, three Catherines, four Catherines. Is that a bunny? What is that, guys? Is that a bunny? Oh,
It's a purple rabbit. Yes, it is.
the purple rabbit. They're two of my favourite things. Fantastic, brilliant, thrilled. And beautiful Kate's in, looking glamorous as always. Hello, Kate.
I don't have an Easter bonnet, so I've got hair on today.
Yes, no, the hair is excellent. The hair is great. And you got a bit of proactive shoulder work happening there too, Kate. Hello.
Very hot in Sydney.
Well, you are hot. You can't help it. You're fantastic. And beautiful Jane's in. Hello, lovely Jane. We've missed
Hello.
you.
Thank you so much for having today, because that's the time that I can join you all. I miss you all.
Oh, we miss you terribly too, my darling. And can I say, we sort of decided to run today. Oh, you've got a hanging object it's hanging. Oh, that's funny. But hello, colleagues. Oh, the hats are all happening. This is joyous. So, colleagues, we decided to run today. Obviously, it is a public holiday, and Liam's joined us in the middle of the night. G'day, Josh. You're an absolute legend. We've decided to run today because obviously, for those of us that have lived alone and all that sort of stuff, the holidays like this can be quite challenging and quite difficult. So we thought we would just do an intervention and at least share a little bit of happiness with you all and a bit of scholarship. Good morning, light of our lives, Kylie.
Good morning, everyone. Wasn't that a lovely surprise?
Oh, you look gorgeous, Kyles. Look, we will ask Kyles, how's the first week in the new job been? I've been sort of sending you, look, my whole body started to heave uncontrollably. How's it gone, Kyles?
Really good, really good. Already got, I think, 6 projects that I'm working on. I just got the delivery.
Is it?
Pepper looking through her room. It's in there somewhere. Really good. And yeah, nice comments. You're the professional, you know this stuff better than we do. Right, yeah, working on reports and that. So yeah, really nice.
Oh, thank the baby Jesus. So I'm absolutely thrilled, Kyles. That's legendary. And
I just want to say hello to everybody. Thanks for your support over the last few weeks. So.
We love you. We are thrilled. We've been sending good energy straight to you as the best person in the universe. And we need to welcome the legendary Ben. Ben, good morning, sir.
Good morning. I've been watching asynchronously for a while now, and I thought I'd join today and see what it's all about. And I've just started my PhD just at the start of this month. So.
Oh, Ben, well, we are so thrilled to welcome you, mate. We're so excited. And you're a magnificent looking human, aren't you? And it's like you've got sort of like the angels behind you coming through the window. It's all very Eastery. So, Ben, you're an absolute legend. It's lovely to see you. And we're very relaxed. And beautiful Maeve has joined us and Sophia's in it. So, Ben, no stress at all. This is a very, very relaxed experience. And I'll just make sure we've got everybody. And beautiful Eleanor's in. Oh, Eleanor, how are you?
Very well, and thank you for this lovely Easter gift. So around this on a public holiday. Thank you so much. Very appreciated.
Oh, we're absolutely thrilled. And Sophia, my darling, I always am careful with you because sometimes you are at work in sort of a hot spotting location doing things. Are you okay, Sophia?
I'm okay. I'm just at home, and it's no school day, so there are children in various states of undress and unruliness and loudness. So I'll just be attending quietly today. Thank you.
That is fantastic. You're a blessing to us, my darling one. So, colleagues, as always, welcome to Digital Office Hours, the Easter edition. As you can see, I'm in an undisclosed location. I am in Palmerston North, which is, I believe, the disco capital of the Southern Hemisphere. This is Party Central. As you can see, people normally dress like this in Palmerston North. Do they, Jamie?
That's right, yeah. This is work uniform.
This is the work uniform. Thank you very much. And of course, I'm with the light of my life, the truly wonderful Jamie Quinton. So we are together in a singular location. We are excited. So, colleagues, welcome to Digital Office Hours. Now, we always start with questions or things you'd like to talk about. I've got the list of homework that's been given to us, but who has a topic or a thing that would like to start us off? this week. Hello, Jess.
Hi. Sorting myself out.
It is lovely to see you, Jess. So, Jess, we're just starting with any questions or any topics or vibes or things people would like to talk about. And look, Megan and I have been emailing like a Trojan this week. We've had a lot of things we've been discussing. Megan, is there anything you reckon we could overshare to start us off this week?
Tara, I actually think I'm okay with all of my questions. Like, I have access to the most wonderful person who answers my questions. So you.
Oh, I am not, but it is challenging. I mean, you had technology problems.
Oh, yeah,
What-
that's been a nightmare.
I missed tell us about the technology problems, and then I missed the comment. Was that from Jess, was it? So we'll go to Megan and then we'll go to Jess. So Megan, let's just overshare the technology debacle, because this is a demonstration of what happens when you're on a regional, rural, remote environment and tech goes wrong.
So out of my budget, I was able to score a new computer, a new laptop. And that was always my preference for keeping personal and PhD stuff separate. But I flew to Brisbane to pick it up. So the laptop came from New South Wales to Darwin, had to go back to Brisbane. Then I had to fly to Brisbane to pick it up. Nobody told me about the onboarding, that I had to actually be logged into the campus network to get the bugger to work. And of course, I spent probably half a day before I finally contacted IT and said, what's going on? So I caught a cab across to the campus and got that sorted. Went back to my motel room, everything was working fine. Went to a workshop for 2 days, came back so excited to get into the computer. It wouldn't even turn on. There was nothing. It was black screen, nothing. And of course, I had to then fly back to Norfolk Island. Bought the computer back with me, and I still haven't heard back from IT, but I do believe from Karen that there's been a change. So I'm not sure now what that change is with assets. I have to just wait and see what's going to happen. But in the meantime, I will be using my personal computer. And from an ethics point of view, I'm quite clear about separating my stuff from work stuff. I've always had to do that. But it was just an annoyance. And it's one of those first world problems when you do live rural and remote. And it cost me $1,000 to fly back to the mainland to be able to take my computer back now.
Oh, Megan, well, we'll organise it. I have been in touch with the wonderful Karen, the Associate Dean, those of you that know our Karen, on your behalf this week. And she is she's as horrified as I am. I think it's just one of those things. We've all bought one computer in our life that we think it's going well, and then the damn thing became an anchor within 3.5 minutes, and we threw it out the window.
Yeah. And look, it's okay. Like I said, this is a first world problem, and how privileged are we that we even get to experience this problem? I'm trying to do the reframe here.
Yeah, I'm loving the reframe. I'm with you, sister. That's brilliant. But can I say also the ethics matter that you've raised? I do the same thing, Megan. I separate my research, which is on a computer behind me here, with the work. So the work emails are done on the work computer and they don't mix. So I separate it via hardware. I know our engineer on the call and our physicists on the call are probably horrified at us, but I think that's the right thing to do, mate.
Yeah, thank you. And just want to say it's really lovely to see you two together.
Thank you. It's lovely. He's lovely. No, thank you, darling. I'm very, very precious. So, thank you, Kyles. Oh, Kyles, you've got a floppy here. It's all a bit floppy.
Somewhat appropriate.
I thought so.
That's quite right.
I think it's fantastic. Oh, look, we'll be doing that next week. That's brilliant. So fantastic, Megan. You're doing incredibly well. But I think it's good to raise that ethics matter at the start as well. We don't talk about ethics enough, I think. We probably should make that a priority, particularly as Doug's moving through his COC too. But let's go to beautiful Jess. And then I think we had beautiful Liam that was going to have a goss with us as well. So Jess, where are you at, darling? I had to see you yesterday and you were glorious.
Well, that's nice to know. Thanks, Tara. I actually hadn't considered the ethical dilemma of sharing a laptop. So as Tara knows, my laptop actually, I somehow managed to snap it 3 weeks ago. So I kind of cracked it and carrying it with one hand and a million other things, as you do. And so I'd kind of had half my stuff on a broken one, and I finally got it all onto the new one. This is why I was late today, because I hadn't put Zoom on yet. So, another thing I forgot to put on. But from this one laptop, I write my PhD, I run a business, I do all my personal stuff. I have my clinical software for clinic practice notes and stuff on it. And I do my lectures and teach from it.
Yeah.
So all of it is in one place. Is that an issue?
Look, it's not via ethics. I mean, by ethics, you're not signing off with ethics that you must have 57 computers for 57 subjects and 57 days.
Cool.
That's not. What they do require, though, is that it's stored securely. And that's increasingly a big deal. For our colleagues not in Australia, there's going to be some very important data provisions that are being introduced in the next iteration of research integrity and the Australian Code of Research Conduct. So the capacity to, in the old days, some of you, I'm obviously the oldest person in the universe, but in the old days, you used to sign ethics. Do you remember, Mary, that your material has to be in a locked filing cabinet? Do you remember that? Oh, look at Kylie. So you'd be signing, yes, this material will be in a locked filing cabinet. And that disappeared about 5 years ago, but it's got to be, Jess, but password protected. It's got to be often in the cloud in a very secure location. So you have to be able to explain via your ethics clearance the parameters, the movement of your data set and the security and safety for colleagues. So where we get into trouble,
Right.
wonderful Liam's on this call. In England, of course, there's all these famous cases of people saving like NHS data and so forth to a I've got one, here's one I prepared earlier, to a USB, and accidentally they had some gin and tonics on the train and left this on the train. And so therefore people's NHS data is on this. So Jess, that's why we're now very conscious. So not saving on a random like this that you sort of leave about with a bag of crisps, but you have it somewhere safe. We're going to go to Mary in 12 seconds. So
Is OneDrive safe?
Yes,
Yes,
one
university OneDrive.
OneDrive is excellent and safe. Make sure there is a password there that in some ways is not an automated password. So whenever you go there, it sort of automatically lets you in, because if the hard drive or the computer goes missing, right, then people can automatically get to the OneDrive. So just watch that. As many strategies as you can to ensure that only you engage with that data set, Jess. That's the key.
Yeah. So if my laptop is password protected, and also I use facial recognition on this laptop, that's safe.
I think that's
safe enough.
I think that's excellent. And look, the engineer is nodding. Mr. Floppy is nodding excessively because, of course, engineers and physicists laugh at people like me, Jess, because I have hardware solutions to problems, whereas engineers and physicists have software solutions, right?
It's until you have to remember every single password you get, and you just get to the point where you just remind me what my password is for this, and I'll update it every time I want to go in, because I'm so good with tech. But yeah, Jess, that's my original ethics application had keeping it, filing cabinet, because I'm old school. They got me to put it up into the OneDrive 365 file, but it then confuses if you jump in to your filing system. If you've got your own 365, sometimes it gets confused, and you've got to basically, my workaround that I found is turn the computer off, turn it back on again, and it'll rectify itself. I know, pull it out or put it back in.
But that's also, Carl, that's also why I decided on this 2-computer model, Carl. So there's no confusion. Because have you ever tried webmail and of course my emails have got to be secure. Jess has to know if she sends me an email, I'm the only person that reads it, right? And it's not going to accidentally end up somewhere else. Sorry, Jamie.
Well, Jamie's got a much better system.
So Jamie had one computer with about 8 different email accounts, including work and everything else. And my personal email account got hacked. And you know how you get told repeatedly, multiple systems, back up early, back up often, etc.
Yeah.
This is an email account I've had since about 1993. And
several marriages ago.
Several? How many times have I been married? Anyway.
Have you forgotten some?
Let's not go there.
Let's not go there.
But when you have one device and one of your systems gets hacked, you suddenly become neurotic about everything and anything. So so I have actually in the last month and a half or so been enacting what Kylie's just described, which is every time I log into a system, I've now changed the password that many times I can't remember what the current one is. So it's always a forgot my password, let's reset it. And
Wow.
but
Yeah.
just make sure if you're going to have a demarcation between your personal life and your professional life,
Yeah.
that you have a personal identity and a personal set of passwords, and a professional identity and a professional set of passwords. If you get lazy, which we all do, and as I said, someone gets access to one of them, and if they can get access to them all, that just creates so much stress, and it's not. I promise you, your future self will thank you for being more vigilant.
Yeah.
Have you ever used one of those password manager things? I sat through a presentation webinar the other day, and I'm not sure if it's more effort. Jamie, have you ever used that?
Yeah, I've used it. Again, it's reliant on you being the sole person who accesses the machine, and and it's just for your convenience, right?
Yeah.
I would recommend, so since I've been on the other side of this now, where identity theft, etc., I would recommend multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
And before it happened, I hated it every time. It's like, oh, you're a pain in the neck. I mean, my work network makes me log in 3 times an hour with multi-factor authentication. But now, every time it does it, I go, yes.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think do that. Jess, the reason we're so pedantic about this in research is hardware can be lost, discarded, people can break in, and particularly if we're dealing with, obviously for all data, it's crucial for Indigenous communities, Indigenous citizens in particular, the circulation, the modality of that data movement is crucial. And obviously in your case, Jess, you're dealing with humans going through periods of crisis. So the movement of data and the security of that data is crucial.
Confidential, no?
And
Absolutely. My other question is, what are the limitations on the university's OneDrive for, or are there any for personal use? Just because like when I find, therapy resources that are fun or visuals or stuff, I just save them all on my uni OneDrive, because it's the one that speaks to my computer and loads automatically. And you know how it just automatically goes to a OneDrive?
Yeah, I don't think that they're monitoring it excessively, Jess, but I think there are issues by the staff and student code of conduct about the move. But I think that's about controlling pornography, Jess, also. So it's like people accidentally saving hashtag porn onto a OneDrive, which is not nice. So it's asking people to separate the public and the personal, but I don't think they're excessively monitoring it. I think they monitor it via particular keywords.
Yeah, and look, if you really looked through it, it could be related to the PhD, which is very clinically relevant as well. So it could just
There
be.
will be an IT policy.
There is an IT
There will be one. But I was going to say, Jess, what I do is I have a folder called personal, and I make sure that someone wants to have a look at it, they can. But
Okay.
But it clearly separates what's personal from what's not.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. I don't have any clinical stuff on that OneDrive, of course, but yeah.
No, I think that's good, Jess. I think that's a very useful ethical discussion.
The other thing, and I'll ask Kyle to back me. The university will probably back up that OneDrive daily or weekly, at least weekly, more frequently.
Yeah, they will have their little data center or data area, and that was our joke in FM. That was the place, if the bomb hit, you went for, because it was set up that was going to survive. So I went one of the K buildings, that was ground zero to protect.
Yes, excellent. Mostly, I think the loops are over now. I think it's a daily update. I think
I should also tell you all while I've got the forum and I'm stepping in and taking over. I had a friend who did their PhD around the time I did, and they did their PhD at Mount Stromlo in Canberra.
Sure.
And a set of bushfires went through, and they lost all of their stuff. And that happened because they were working on what I would say commercially sensitive IP. And they didn't use the OneDrive. They didn't use the university's backup system. And so I think the lesson is self-evident then.
Wow. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. So we'll go to Mary. So our favourite historian from the People's Republic of Western Australia. Now, where are you on the data storage, Mary, as the great historian We are paper folk. We are paper folk. But where are you now, Mary?
Well, actually, I do most things digitally, so I can have stuff with me as I, move between uni and home.
Nice.
And I'll often have, if I'm referring to a book that I can only get as a hard copy book, and even if I own it, I will scan pages I need. So I've got those stashed on my computer as well, so I can get them when I need. But with my data, because I'm doing Indigenous oral histories, the uni I'm at has its own separate R drive, and was specifically told I couldn't use the university's OneDrive that they provide to students to store that data. And I also have to have a backup. I do have to have a physical backup in a locked cabinet at Centre for Aboriginal Studies. So that's how it's stored. But overall, that oral history data, the uni will only store it for 7 years. And the participants actually want their oral histories to be preserved forever. So eventually, at the end of the research, I will be lodging them with the State Library, who will keep them forever.
Oh, that is terrific. So, look, I think that's where we're all heading, to be frank. If I'm reading the tea leaves of the Australian Code of Conduct and Data Management, I think there will be, particularly for Indigenous and First Nation materials, although I think it should be much more widely configured, but an R or restricted area, which really we've got strong parameters around the movement of that data set. So that's great, Mary. I think that is where we're heading. So it's interesting you're already there, which we expected. Thank you, Mary. There you. Okay, yes, I know. That's fantastic. We'll go to Liam. Now, Liam was on our magic list. Now, Liam, good evening from the magnificent northwest of England. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. It's just really interesting listening to how behind the times we are in the antipodes with this like OneDrive system, especially because the UK has GDPR and the rest of Europe. So our data is kind of like, if you can't even get a hall pass to share a file in the UK without somebody threatening to sue you. So we have to be really, really vigilant. But it's interesting because my pension data, and possibly your pension data as well, Tara, when you worked in the UK, was accessed by hackers. Yeah, so apparently we can sue our pension provider. Don't know whether that's going to happen. But yeah, there's joint action. Most universities in the UK have created joint action because our date of births were accessed, national insurance numbers, dates of retirement, all of that, codependence, everything was lost. I also worked at a university, which is world famous, in the north of England, and their whole computer system was hacked through a backdoor hacker from a system that they'd never closed down from like 2006. So yeah, and also as well, something that really concerns me is the sharing of special category data. So I don't know whether we're aware of like ethnicity, age, sexuality, political status. That's all special category data.
Yes.
And that's being shared amongst universities in ways that really works against general data protection principles. And we're being asked to ignore that. But, you know, I'm in this locked-in system at work where I can't even access my emails without going on this really rubbish device that is completely inappropriate for my job. But yeah, we share data like that, or will share data like that, or expected to,
Liam,
without any fault.
Thank you for saying that. It's funny. I was made uncomfortable because I had a series of requests from, not necessarily third parties, but, high level administrators involved in higher degrees, asking for special category data about disability and about race to be shared. And again, not sort of like expansively, but move from one application process to a faculty, right? And I refused that. And I said, look, give me Easter to ponder that, because my perspective, and it comes from disability management Liam, as you know, that people have the right to disclose or withhold disability and impairment, and they have the right to get the modifications and the support that they require. But the disclosure is upon us to make that declaration, right? And so the idea that very special data is shared to another human concerned. People fill in an application form that says this material will only move here. I think it should only move there, Liam.
Yeah, I've just, in the UK specifically though, like it is actually illegal to share that data without the person's permission. And there can be quite heavy fines. So, but then again, you know, all of our data is being compromised in some way. Like, for example, who knows whether in the zombie apocalypse, like we will have AI zombie Liam and zombie Tara and zombie Kate and zombie Maeve, you know, imitating our voices for password protection purposes and all sorts.
Well, Liam, can I say I feel like zombie AI generative Tara most of the time, and I think she's a much happier person than I am, I think, Liam. But no, fantastic. I agree with you. So the security has got to keep going. As I explained to Jamie, it's like in the early 20th, 19th century with the dreadnoughts, that the cannons, so the armaments could go this far, but you then needed the shielding of the armament. So there was like this war between defense and attack. And in many ways, that's what AI is. It's like this is happening, and so we have these protections in place, but the protections always lag the attack.
What you're touching on, Liam, though, is interesting because let's pick something that's a little less sensitive in terms of the data, right? Individuals in a university will access, say, the student system, and they'll get information about students. And so I'm not a lawyer. I know that Ben is. We should actually be asking Ben his opinion on this, but I think there's when it comes to legal definitions of access versus sharing, at the moment, everything relies on access and individuals following policy and doing the right thing by access. Whereas sharing now is becoming much more evolved, and I think there's several PhD projects in this topic area alone.
So do I. Now, Ben, do you want to actually summon some expertise rather than the randoms, and then we'll go back to Liam. So, Ben, what's your feeling about data movement, access, sharing?
I mean, I don't know that much about this area of law, if I'm fully honest with you. But I do know, I think what Liam says about the GDPR really does impact how European research data and data in general can be shared. And at least as well in Aotearoa New Zealand, we do have similar protections to the GDPR. So at the university I'm at, the university provides OneDrive, and we know that data is actually held in Australian data centers. And so that's okay for most data, but for some data that under law has to be held in New Zealand itself, the university does have a separate repository because that data just can't leave our shores.
Well,
so
I was going to say, I mean, Ben, by Māori Tanga, by the Treaty of Waitangi, that's also about sovereignty, data sovereignty. You know, so it can't be I hadn't thought about that. I mean, that's a bit of interesting law around the Treaty of Waitangi and how it operates digitally. That was always an interesting field, Ben.
Yes, so that is part of the data that's important to keep domestically.
Both Australia and New Zealand are very stringent on their policies with regard to national defence. So if you're working in any area where you've got sensitive information to the nation's best interest, it's quite strongly protected.
And
I've done projects before back in the day for defence, and our organisation had our normal data management processes, but as soon as we were on those projects, after all the clearances were done, we had to be keeping it on a sovereign sort of server.
Oh, that's amazing. Incredibly important too. Sorry, Liam, go.
I was going to say, like, the UK had an absolute catastrophe, it seemed, last summer with all these cyber compromisations, and the British Library was attacked, and allegedly, information was lost about PhDs. So, you know, my PhD is in the British Library, and it's no longer listed on their website. You can't access it anymore through open access because their systems were compromised. So yeah, that's all disappeared. So your UK students, Tara, for example, you've historically supervised, if you try and search for them on the British Library website, they've disappeared.
That breaks my heart. That breaks my heart. That's terrible. Oh, Liam. And of course, we need to sort of acknowledge too, Liam, before we move on to wherever else we're going to go, whatever else colleagues would like to talk about. But Liam, of course, my beloved former home, the University of Bolton, the Vice Chancellor, who shall remain nameless, who used to sack people in the elevator, which is why I'm probably out of here at this point, is going to be changing the university's name from the University of Bolton to the University of Greater Manchester. And
Oh, this isn't.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that, because it was in the Manchester Evening News that they were going to change the name, and then it's just like, to keep a distinct reputation and to be a key player in the Greater Manchester economy and things like that. And then they've opened this sub-campus in Manchester City Centre, which is another version of that place, but not. And they're advertising for jobs all the time. But yeah, it's really confusing, and it is heartbreaking, as you say.
What's heartbreaking, colleagues, I mean, obviously, Bolton is this fantastic working class city. And I'll just use the metaphor I've always used. Kate, you know this. When I was there as a head of school, I was told, Tara, look out of this window. And I would look out of this window and people would say, this is one of the few universities in the world where what you see out of that window, they are your students. So we talk about community engagement and beautiful stuff with universities. Bolton is it. But, Greater Manchester indeed, Liam. And of course, didn't they describe themselves as a Manchester University?
They're now the University of Salford of Greater Manchester, because we have to be Greater Manchester, and University of Manchester and MMU are somewhere else in that picture. They're just kind of competing with each other, and they always have done. But they've become very, very business. It's become very, very business. You wouldn't recognise Oxford Road if you walk down it now, Tara. It is literally it's like London, the Gherkin. It is literally all glass buildings, and every bit of distinct character of the previous 1970s architecture has completely been razed to the ground.
What a disgrace. People don't like brutalism. I love brutalism. I love me some concrete. But so, Liam, well said, that's frightening the hell out of me. So that's a thing that's bubbling around. So we've talked about data collection, data management, data storage, which is phenomenal. That's helped me a lot in my thinking. You always provoke me in this way, something I'm actually thinking about, and you've helped me with this. But Josh, can we go to you? Because I think, am I reading, you had something being published this week, didn't you, Josh? Or have I dreamed that?
Yes, yeah, I just had my first book review published, actually. So yeah, it's come through. Very exciting.
Now, how was that? How was that?
I love doing a book review, to be honest. I think it's just something a bit different. And listening to, I know we discussed it a couple of weeks back, and yeah, all the positives I can attest to. I thought it was really good bit of intellectual flexibility. It's getting my name out there in the doctoral education space, which takes a lot longer with full articles. So these have been a good process, and yeah, I've got a few more in the pipeline that are coming up. So yeah, really enjoyed it. And the Journal of Learning Development and Higher Education, I think that's actually a UK one, Liam. I loved them. I thought they were fantastic the whole way through.
And so, Josh, did you contact them? So is one of them you being proactive, you getting in there, I've got this review, are you interested in it? Is that how you did it?
Yes, yeah. And so it's hard because a lot of, there's very few journals that focus specifically on doctoral studies, and then ones that don't tend to go, oh, this is a bit out of scope for us. But these guys took it. So yeah, very happy.
Oh, well, congratulations. We are so thrilled. And again, we've got recommendation. Here's one we prepared earlier. Josh, you recommended it. You've done it. That's fantastic. Brilliant. Now, should I go to the wonderful Eleanor, who is a wonderful person in our lives? Now, darling one, how are you going? Is there anything you're interested in, or you'd like to provoke us with a topic or an idea or something? Because you're often right there with us. So talk to us, darling.
You promised to talk about PhD coach, please. The whole concept of PhD coach. Remember your YouTube video about your very support concept of PhD coach? Not talking about writing and sort of concept, just PhD coach. Last time when we see you, you talk about how many sessions you need, probably 4, and how much session can be cost.
Yep.
So I'd like to go into a little bit more about this concept, because I will start in 1 week, time my PhD through the University of USQ, and the concept of I'm not agree what's available through social media, whatever the coach, and I think this is the gap. So whatever you're talking about in that video and whatever social media providers is completely different things. And I'm more inclined to understand your concept of coaching and why you need coach and how you need the approach. But what social media and my research provides, it's a completely different, and it's completely different from supervisor or mentor. I really agree with your things, and I'm trying to find which one. And what I come up across, it's completely different. It's more like, remember last time I mentioned the relationship, the money and what the services provided is completely different from, it's not editing. I don't need someone to tell me how to write. I just need someone to tell me, like in any coach, like team of cricket or whatever,
Yes.
this is what we're doing. This is your homework. Come back and then you fix it. Come back in 3, 4, 6 months when we needed another session.
Look, absolutely, Eleanor, and we'll talk about this. And obviously, we've got wonderful people that coach on this call, which is terrific. But what I would say, Eleanor, is I am concerned as someone who's done, I think I've done sort of 5 different coaching methodologies, including coaching for managers, time management, blah 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 blah. And the PhD coach is a big thing. I get frightened because coaching as a field is under-regulated. In fact, there's no regulation. Anyone today, Shelley could decide in her glamorous self that by lunchtime today she's going to describe herself as a coach, and she can. So it's very much unregulated, and obviously people are desperate for money, Eleanor, right? So people are trying to make a living. Everyone has a right to make a living, but what that means is coaching can be long term, and it doesn't really have goals and outcomes. I draw clear lines between mentoring, which I think is rubbish, but mentoring, and we can talk about that if you feel like it, but sort of mentoring is like, I am an old wise person and I have expertise to share with you. No, you don't. You've got a data set of 1, sort yourself out, right? Whereas coaching is, Eleanor, you tell me about you. What is challenging for you at the moment, right? Here's one problem. Let's you and I take this problem for a walk and work out, if we're doing 2 sessions or 4 sessions, what success looks like. We then break that down into 4 goals and we solve that. And then, Eleanor, you go on your way and have your iterations of success. And if you're feeling a bit stuck at another point in the future, go, right, well, what is the problem? And you be clear on that. Come again to a coach and say, this is my issue. What does success look like? Separate that out. But as I said, Eleanor, I do get frightened because there's a lot of people, particularly in the doctoral space, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. There's a lot of people that are failures, right? And I love failure. I'm writing a book on failure. I love a good failure. Love a good failure. But there are people that if you looked at their career, they've never really supervised, their own PhD wasn't successful, and yet magically, look at Kylie, then they're magically reconfiguring themselves as a coach. And I'm going, what remotely have you got to say? You don't research in the area of doctoral education. You're not doing what Josh is doing. So what, you've just got a vibe and you're going to be paid for a vibe. So I tend to look, Eleanor, make sure they've got qualifications in coaching, ask them about supervision, ask them about examination. Where are you on this? Because you've seen me do the coaching stuff. So,
Well,
I don't want to rip people off. It's got to be precise.
Yeah, no, I think I've seen a lot of different behaviors and a lot of different things. I kind of look at it in the same way that you pay to access someone with a deep expertise, and that person needs to continually develop their expertise, right? You go to a doctor, for instance, and you want to consult on what the latest medical treatment might be for, or identifying a problem and treating the problem. You would hope that they keep upskilling, that they keep being forefront. I sort of think that way when it comes to looking for someone to guide you.
Yeah.
But I'm not a coach. I'm sure I feel a bit ignorant about it. I'd like to learn more about what people's perspectives are.
Yeah.
from people with more expertise than me.
And I love Josh's point there. Josh, can we go to you, brother, as well? I mean, darling one, thank you for that, because obviously you've seen it. And again, you know, just because you think you might be a coach, you know, that's just a delusion. Sort yourself out. But Josh's point's a great one, that, Eleanor, be confident in and of yourself, my darling. Don't think you need a coach if you're underconfident. Whenever we start a PhD, we're underconfident, and sort of finding your own way is tremendous. Josh, I think we're in a point where the PhD coach exists because we've got so many failures in supervision, and we've now got older students that are realizing that the supervision, thanks, Gay, that the supervision is rubbish, and so they're calling it out, and they're getting a service that's actually providing what they want. What do you think, Josh?
It's an interesting question. I guess from my own experience, I had a really rough honours year, and just got through it. So when I came back to do the PhD years later, I was quite terrified. And I remember in my interview with my supervisor, I said something along the lines of, you know, I'm committed. I think I can do it. I just need to be told what to do. And that was my exact phrasing. I think a lot of people have that thinking when they first come in, but in reality, I think you're not going to get far by being told something, because, you know, the line, it is your PhD. And so ultimately, I think regardless of how uninformed you might be in the beginning, you've got to drive the decisions for stuff, and that will give you the momentum and the push. I think in some disciplines that's easier said than done, but yeah, so I worry with coaching that yes, it will provide some efficiency in the beginning, but, you know, depending on the quality of the coach or whatever their philosophy is, it might not get you home. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why, Eleanor, come to the situation. We're going to go to Wonderful Gay. Come to the situation with clarity about what the issue is and how a strong resolution looks, right? So you have to do your homework before you even involve another human. Where are we starting? What's drawn you to a coach? And then what does the arc of achievement and success look like? Because if you arrive going, oh, look, I'm confused, I'm worried, all of us are. At the start of a PhD, you don't even know your own name, mate. You don't even know your own name. And so a coach could take advantage of that. Should we go to Beautiful Gay, and then we'll come back? Gay, darling, talk to us. Oh, Coach to the Stars. This is what you do.
This is one of the things that I do, yes. I had a terrible experience with my own PhD. Almost everything that could go wrong went wrong. My supervisor was awful. I just had a really bad experience, and I got through without having to do any changes. And I decided that I was going to see if I could help other people. So I actually went and got a very comprehensive coaching qualification. And I set myself up as a PhD coach and as an academic editor. Now, people come to me with all sorts of reasons. Most often it is a problem with the supervisor. There are also problems with motivation, don't know what to do here, don't know how the system works, and they're not getting help from the university. Somebody asked in the chat, what's the difference between a PhD and a coach and a supervisor? People who come to me have got supervisors who don't have time for them. As a PhD coach, I have the time for them because that's what I'm there for. People come to me saying, I can't work, give me some help. So we talk through motivations and what else is going on in their lives.
Yeah.
And at the end of each session, we come up with a set of goals that the client comes up with.
Yeah.
Most often I say to them, what is the next best thing that you can do that is going to forward your project? And they come up with that themselves.
That's right.
And then next time we talk about how that went. If it didn't go well, why not? How can we tweak it? If it did go well, what do we do? What's the next step?
Beautiful.
So
beautifully said, Gay. Beautifully said.
There is a difference between a supervisor and a PhD coach, in that the PhD coach often has more time.
That's well said. But can I say, Eleanor, and I mean, Ben, you might want to speak to this too, as someone who's sort of just starting the party, but isn't it tragic? Because in many ways, the supervisor should be multiphasic. A supervisor should be managing motivation, offering career advice, go through this, helping with pros, all that sort of stuff. We should be doing that. And it worries me that we're not, and therefore, someone has to be paid to do what I often see as a supervisory job. I mean, Ben, you've just started. Have you got a perspective on this?
I think I'm really lucky, or at least I think I am at the moment, in that my supervisor has carried over from honours. So I went from honours straight into a PhD.
Right, Ben.
And I knew we had a great working relationship then. But I can even see, even in the few meetings we've had so far, she's just kicked up another gear for the PhD supervision. So hopefully that keeps going, and that should be really great and supportive. But she's also said, which is, I think, building upon what Josh says, it's really important that you do kind of try out things and make mistakes to start with, because I can tell you things and you won't believe me, or you won't necessarily understand them until you make those mistakes yourself. So it is kind of feeling around in the dark a little bit to try and find kind of a way that works for me, and it might not work for everyone. But then obviously she's there as a support person if I fall back and to keep me going forward.
And can I just say, your supervisor has done something magnificent, Ben. I always raise as an issue the challenge of a supervisor moving from honours to a PhD. I always urge caution, because they are different degrees. And you have this incredible intensity in honours because it's of such a short period of time, so it's very intense. And if you just assume the relationship's going to be the same, there's often a bit of a catastrophe there about a year, 18 months in. The idea that your supervisor has acknowledged that, and as you've said beautifully, kicked it up, so changed the relationship. She's brilliant, Ben. That's clever. Oh, brilliant. We'll go to the wonderful Liam. I'd love to have a chat with Shell too, Shell, in a second, about support structures. Shell, I've missed you, Angel. Liam, let's go to you, brother.
Me and Josh have bonded over this person, and I believe you might, and just from searching their library, you pop up as well, Tara. Emma Brzezinski, who is a PhD Life Raft podcast host, but has also done coaching and was an academic for 25 years and still continues to be in another capacity outside UK higher education. But Emma's podcast, and I think coaching that Emma offers is great. It's not free advertisement. However, I just have to say that kind of somebody who I navigated towards after listening to your podcast as well, Tara. And I know that you've done some you've been in conversation with Emma.
I was going to say, so I think I have, when dinosaurs, look at Liam, see, Josh and Liam know my life better than I do these days. Look, I think I actually spent a lovely bit of time with her very early one morning in Adelaide, I think. And I found her lovely. I think she's dinkum. She's a thoughtful woman, Liam, is my feeling.
Yeah, and she also as well, like you, Tara, has said, the PhD went wrong for her at one point, and then she had to stop and then start again somewhere else. And I think that honesty about that, and I'm one of those people as well. Like, I tried to do a PhD a long time ago, and it didn't, very early on, I tried to go for the Ben model where it was from honours to PhD, and that didn't work for me. I was at an institution that couldn't provide that support as well, so it was a bit misguided. But for people who that does work with, it's a beautiful relationship. But also with my PhD supervisor, it was very much like, we are not friends. We are not, I'm a professional working, and this is going to be your working life. And I notice a lot of, I go to some conferences where I see PhD students and they've made that mistake, and it's like, oh yeah, my PhD supervisor is my friend. And it's like, no, they're not. They're a professional in a higher education establishment. And if they are acting as your friend, then they're not doing their job.
Yeah.
Essentially.
part of our andragogy has got to be helping people understand the workplace of higher education.
Yes.
That this is a workplace, it's not a religion. It's you know, you're not a benevolent lady offering like platitudes to the universe. This is a workplace. And you know, and Liam, you know, you've been wonderful on this. I think it's very important we talk about, so that Eleanor doesn't think, oh look, this is the dream honours and PhD supervision. It's like, well, my random guy was an egomaniac, did not supervise me, did not have a meeting, did not read a word. I had to get through in 18 months because I had to get a job. So I had to get through quickly. He wouldn't even sign off the thesis to go to examiners. So just said, I'm not going to even sign it off, right? And then someone else had to sign it off, came back with 3 1s, but he didn't, Eleanor, he didn't read a word of it, right? So we need to sort of share these experiences so that Eleanor doesn't have this sort of template about what a supervisor is. There's some shockers, there's some problems, there's some difficulties, and no one's perfect. Ben's supervisor clearly is about as close as we're ever going to get, which is tremendous. But Eleanor, it's just being confident that whatever happens, you can manage it, Dal.
Absolutely. I just finished my master professional study research, and I have one supervisor who from masters.
Yes.
My concept just something what the supervisor will not cover. Something small idea you want to sort it out, and I understand what is my stronger points, and I just want to come on this program as strong as I can.
Yes.
And I want to do quick PhD, and this is the whole concept. The more I prepare for my first meeting, the more I prepare to understand with support of coaches, support of even this podcast and YouTube, the better will be for everybody. So that is my approach. I don't put my problem on anybody else. I'm more like engineer. As even I'm doing through the creative work, I say, this is a problem, how I can fix it. So now I realize some point we can be better with some sort of sort.
Yes.
And this is probably most annoying concept when I done my master's. Every time I confront something, like I was confront how to publish course, a book or article, I find someone through the Italian company, and they said, this is how you're doing a published article, bring all this topic back, and they said, what are you doing? So I decided to find what is issue and how yelled and shout to universe. I said, this is my issue, help me to deal with, and then I will be better off. So this is what, nothing to do with supervising and so on. I was very lucky, and I'll finish my PhD with very strong supervision, but just something you don't want to put on their very busy schedule. And it's my responsibility, it's my project. If I know this is an issue, it's much better me to sort it out, come and say, look, this is what's happening, this is it. Like, this is what I'm doing right now. So all these pages and pages of preparation for first meeting. I create PowerPoint. Now I'm on slide 37, and I'll just halfway through for my first meeting.
And can I say, Eleanor's done the old-fashioned the TB setup document too, and I've never seen that document with writing like Eleanor's done. You're amazing. So look, Eleanor, what I think we're picking up is you are what we would describe as an overachiever. I think you'll finish your PhD in about 3.5 minutes, and your plan is excellent. But I did want to activate a great mate of mine who is also a professional in universities in support and enabling programs. So Shell, of course, I'm going straight to you, my mate, who's down the corridor from me normally. So Shell, obviously universities also have, outside of supervision or teaching, all sorts of teaching support protocols that are available, and obviously you're the expert on this, but you know, just relaxing, Eleanor, that there's these other support structures in the institution as well, mate.
Yeah, I guess there's I think the library is one of the big unsung heroes of our institution, and the support staff there. And the thing I am always blown away by, I've obviously got my background and my discipline knowledge I bring with me, but what dawns on me is I don't know what I don't know, and they are the big spaces where I constantly am going, well, I just wouldn't even known to even ask that question or engage with the information in that way. And I think with the way AI is changing and the different tools around research are changing, like, you know, Research Rabbit and all of the different ways in which you can engage and also re-communicate your ideas and even organize it, that would be my biggest, I think, a leverage point for us, understanding that there are spaces between the supervisor and ourselves where we can access additional support. And there's also lots of, and the other thing around the university I've noticed that seems to be more prolific is just support, like groups. I don't know whether it's just the time I've been in the university or the time I've been there as a student, and just being very open to being part of different groups, but that seems to be on the rise as well. So looking out for people who are just in the same place and space and time, and it might be a relationship for a particular time and place, but you know, making those moments count so that you're both a little bit elevated from that experience. So
Gee,
yeah.
you're a wise woman, Shell. You are a wise woman in my life. And there are all these alternative support structures that are available. I think Eleanor's great point is she's not wanting to put stress on the supervisors. And I bless you so much for saying that. Needless to say, I've had a lot of students that we have a pretty intense situation going on, can I say, a multiphasic type of relationship. But Shell's point about the library is crucial, about what I often call COPs, communities of practice. So if we've got doctoral COPs in place, I know it sounds weird, but they're fantastic organisations as well. The reason, Shell, we started Digital Office Hours is so people in Darwin can meet friends all around the world, take the pressure off themselves, so Eleanor can express, this is what's worrying me, and colleagues from around the world can offer commentary, just to make everybody relaxed in their space. And I think that's incredibly important. But I also need to log Shell that all these great support structures exist, and Shell is responsible for so many of those, and Shell changes people's lives, and she is brilliant. I love you, Shell. You know, do we do the nose thing? Are we doing the nose thing? We do the nose thing? You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. Josh.
Oh, I think Shell made some awesome points there. Yeah, librarians, amazing. And I had the same experience. I went to one in first year, and things I didn't even think they would be able to help with, they helped with, you know, all of a sudden. So, you know, they're just great to see. I think another important source of what you could be looking for, Eleanor, is finding genuine people that you can trust to have conversations with. So, you know, really a good friend that might be going through it or is at a similar stage. And I think this community is really good for that, where it's not performative. No one's here to try and one up someone else, and it is just genuine conversations. But if you can find someone like that in your discipline to have there and to bounce ideas off, I think that's a really important space where you can grow, and they're just there to help you get your thoughts out and to see where you're at. And yeah, I had a great friend going through with my stuff, and we still to this day, we have conversations and we talk through what we're thinking and what we're going to experiment with. And they're there to just sort of be a bit objective, but also just to be someone to listen so you can get those words out and hear what you really think of things.
That is wonderful, Josh. And look, colleagues, conscious of the time, can I go to one of the best speakers and listeners and brilliant people that we've met in the last year, and that's Jane. Jane, hello, Jane. Jane, can you just give us, put the hat on. Put the hat on, Jane. So, Jane, can we just touch base with you, because you're so precious to us, and you're such a wise woman, and it has offered us such great counsel. Do you want to just say hello and give us a bit of an update? Because I know you're teaching during this time normally.
Thank you, Tara, and hello, everyone. I'm so glad to see you all here today. And I'm wearing a bigger hat than my hat today.
Yes.
And that's a difference, because other than the name River Woman, like Megan gave me, I have another name, is the Hat Woman.
Yes.
Because people only recognize me when I'm wearing my hat.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand or found who you are, because you are not with my normal hat. Okay, so that's my hat. The other one is bigger, and I've been thinking about the way that we talk about our role in life. So in English, we wear multiple hats, right?
Yes.
In Vietnamese, we are having the shoulders for different roles in our life. And that's part of the embodiment part that I'm having with my research. It's not just the heads, but the shoulders on how you're responsible for things in your life. And of course, women is having the disadvantage because we are smaller, we're weaker, and we have to carry everything on our shoulders. So I think that's very different with wearing the hat, but the hat is good today to show that if I'm wearing a hat that's bigger than my head, I couldn't see the way. And that's actually
well, Jane, can I say, I'm glad you've got a bigger hat because you are a brilliant human and your brain is expanding every single time we see you. So I think you need some growth room, mate. I think you need some growth room. Jane, you are so precious to us. Colleagues, this has been a joyous time. We haven't met the lovely Sita Liliana. Hello, I hope you're well. I tend to, if people don't want to put the screen up, we sort of wave at you, and when you're comfortable, you say hello to us. But colleagues, I wish you well. Have a lovely, lovely day, and I'll see many of you in Right Club, but you are all a blessing. See you all soon. Jess, rock and roll, darling. Sophia, love you. Have a good day.
Easter, or what you long weekend to enjoy.
Have a lovely, lovely long weekend, and see many of you very shortly in Right Club. Bye-bye. See ya. Blessings.
See you.